So I think it's possible that this is the best attested religious miracle or alleged religious miracle in history. So 1968 through 1971 in a suburb of Cairo known as Zeitoun, at a church known as St. Mary's. I think it was April 1968. Some people were standing on the street opposite of the church dome, the big church dome, and they looked up and they thought they saw a woman who was going to jump off the dome. And so one ran to get a police officer and one ran to get a priest, Coptic priest, and somebody yelled up, "Don't jump, don't jump." But at some point they realized this figure is kind of glowing and there's really no footholds on the dome. It's a pretty steep dome, right? And somebody looks up and says, it's Mary. I guess it's natural. It's St. Mary's Church, right? And what happens is that this figure, this lighted figure, appears over this dome or moves around a bit between the domes, usually at least twice a week. And this became such a big event that the government officials tore down a bunch of trees around St. Mary's, and they actually destroyed some buildings because there were so many people. Now, you know how hard it is to count crowds, but people will say, well, it originally started with 10,000 people and it was 20. Some nights it was over 100,000 people. Well, I don't know how you count these things, but tons of people came, so much so that the city built a fence around this and set up seating for it so people could come and look. Most of the people who saw this were Muslims who have a place for Mary because of the Quran. There's a passage in the Quran which sounds like a bit like Luke 1 has entered into the text. So they have a place for the piety of Mary. She's a friend of God. And the Coptic Christians are Orthodox, so they have a Mariology. She's the Theotokos, the Mother of God. And this just took hold immediately. This must be Mary. There are some photos from the time, and I actually have a book that was published in 1969, and the photos look the same as they do now. So, if they were doctored with, they were doctored with right at the beginning, okay? But the point about this is that this went on for a long, long time. There were secular journalists who went to see this. There were Protestants who went to see it. And if you read the firsthand testimony, we have literally thousands of interviews about this. There are still lots of people in the world. Here in New Jersey, we have a Coptic diaspora. There are lots of people here who, as children or young people, saw this. In the Coptic Church, this is a major event in Egyptian church history. This is a big deal. I think it's a big deal because I don't think there are any good explanations for it. That is, I don't know what the materialistic or reductive explanation is. I don't think it's earthquake lights. I don't think it's mass hallucination. I don't know what it is. And it's the kind of thing that you can look at, and if you're a Coptic Christian or Roman Catholic or Greek Orthodox, you could say, this is Mary. I mean, it's a slam dunk. What else is it? And if you're not Orthodox, I think you should say that is a something we know not what. We have no explanation for this at the current time. Look, the city officials, they cut off the electricity to the grid that the church was on, and the lights were still there. People searched the church looking for things. There isn't any good explanation for this. There's a book that just came out. I think it's called The Marian Apparitions at Zeitoun. And it's just full. The middle part of the book is just full of firsthand testimony. And if you read it, you either say, gosh, this must be Mary, or what the heck is this? I don't see any other option. So I like this because uh, it it aligns with the sort of thing I'm doing in the chapter that we've been talking about. I think that you can rationally give this a theological explanation, and you can say this is Mary. I also think you can say, well, something real was going on there. This is a genuine series of events, even though I can't explain it. But the one thing that doesn't make sense for me would be to say nothing happened, or it's mass hallucination, or earthquake lights, or or it was fraud. Somebody perpetrated a hoax. Those are just bankrupt explanations.
Hmm. Yeah, it's such an interesting example. I think primarily because, well, for a lot of reasons. One of which it's pretty recent. The
Uh-huh.
photographs are very compelling, as well as just the sheer number of people that went and that it lasted for years, essentially.
Uh-huh.
I think it's just so. It's. I mean, I agree with you. It's hard to give an explanation other than I don't quite understand what's happening here. I'm a Christian. You're a Christian.
Mhm.
My tradition doesn't. We don't spend a lot of time thinking about Mary,
Yeah.
but of course, think Mary was awesome. That even that event feels to me apologetic. It makes me feel like, oh yeah, of course, the Holy Spirit is still doing stuff that we don't quite understand, and the spiritual realm is real. It's somewhat comforting for me to think, oh yeah, God is still alive and active, and here's this great example. Does it have any kind of similar effect for you, or do you just see it, or does it do something different, or is it just a historical event, or is it one of 100 other things that you think of? I'm just curious, like how that kind of event strikes you,
So
given your worldview.
Zeitoun has made a big impression on me because I first ran across this in a book in the late 1970s, and then I was able to get a book that was published in 1969. I don't know how the heck I got it, but I have it. And then another very early book, and then I've read about it occasionally from time to time and looked at things on the internet. And uh, I've told people I'd be delighted if it's Mary. It wouldn't bother me at all. Uh, I can't do that as an historian, but as an historian, this fascinates me. Here, I think we have a major event, a major public event, for which we don't have an explanation, but we could, if we wanted to, plug it into a theological world and have some sort of explanation. Uh, I've been honest with people. I'm like you. Uh, I don't know. I don't think about Mary much. She doesn't have a large part in my piety or my Presbyterian tradition here at the seminary. So I just say I don't know what to do about it, but I have to say it fascinates me. It keeps drawing me back. I I read through this recent book that came out on it, trying to
Mhm.
think again what what might this mean. I wrote a chapter on Zeitoun actually in a book on the resurrection of Jesus, in which I said I think this should caution us against a sort of easy skepticism or assumption that we can immediately think, oh, okay, we have in our debunking toolbox, these things, and we can take this down easily. I don't think this is easily taken down. So I think it should be a caution for skeptics. Maybe I'm missing something, but I've been looking for a long time, and I just don't know what the
Mhm.
easy reductionistic explanation is.